Very seldom have I looked at Trump and thought, yeah, I can relate to this. But he came out after Israel was about to launch a full-scale bombing attack on Iran. And he came out, he heard about this. Man didn't even put on a tie. Came out of the White House half-dressed, ran straight into reporters, and he went into it. He was like, I heard about what Iran is doing and what Israel is doing. And let me tell you, I'm angry at Iran, but I'm more angry at Israel.
Seems weird, but there's probably a very simple explanation for why he talks that way. A thing called brain damage. Trump also... Trump also opened up about his personal struggles.
Some people say, sir, how do you get out of bed in the morning? It's a war.
No, it's true. Getting out of bed is a war. First fight is rolling over. Then comes...
Every time Donald Trump takes the stage, he acts like he's putting on the greatest show in history. But Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert pull back the curtain, exposing it all as a tired rerun. They tear apart his contradictions, mock his endless complaints, and highlight the absurdity of a president who treats politics like late-night drama. What comes across isn't strength, but a cartoon version of himself, and Colbert and Noah make sure the laughs never stop rolling.
In the United States of America, if you want to win an election, all you need to have is a strange voice. Simple as that. You want to be president of the United States? Get a strange voice, you're done. Yeah, forget policies, forget ideas, that's boring. You come out there with a strange voice, the people love it. You realize there's been no American president who has a normal speaking voice. None. Trump, that was the weirdest of all.
No, you fool! Now there's one less job. Don't you see? You fell into her trap. But it makes sense. He fires anyone who gives him bad news. Mr. Dr. Cardiologist, you clearly rigged my cholesterol to be 1,000 and said my blood type was aioli. You're fired, happen or no, it's honey.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon for more updates. Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert never hold back when they aim their comedy at Donald Trump. They cut straight through the bluster, the bravado, and the circus act that defined his presidency, turning every boast into a punchline and every meltdown into pure comedy gold. Trump loves to present himself as the ultimate strongman, but under their
At this point, Trump isn't even trying to hide his awfulness. His critics accuse him of being a wannabe dictator, so what does he do? He sits down with Hungarian dictator and elephant seal barking for a trout, Viktor Orban. Orban went down to Mar-a-Lago on Friday for an official fake state visit with the not president. Orban's a bad guy. In the last decade, he has weakened the institutions of democracy, eroded the legal system, and eliminated effective opposition.
Trevor highlights just how absurd Trump's persona really is. Here's a man who tries to project authority while firing off petty insults at 3 in the morning, like a teenager who just discovered Twitter. Trump dreams of being remembered as a giant of history, yet he's become the punchline of every late-night joke, a living example of what happens when ego collides with incompetence. He struts around declaring victories that don't exist, taking credit for things he barely understands, and attacking anyone who dares to state the obvious. Behind the slogan...
I feel like Trump would be exactly the same even if he spoke Arabic. It would be like the same thing. He'd be like,
Colbert, with his sly delivery, doesn't need to exaggerate. He just presents Trump's contradictions and lets them collapse under their own weight. The president calls himself a genius, yet stumbles through sentences like he's in a losing battle with the English language. He boasts about stamina, but looks like he needs a golf cart just across the room. He insists he's a master negotiator, yet constantly argues himself into corners that even his aides can't talk him out.
I'm not saying that Trump doesn't care about his followers, but Trump is saying...
And by the way, isn't that breeze nice? Do you feel the breeze? Because I don't want anybody going on me. We need every voter. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care. See, now the press will take that and they'll say he said a horrible thing.
Of course, if you say a horrible thing, people are going to say what you said is horrible. That's how words work.
Noah points out what so many people already recognize. Trump isn't really leading the country. He's hosting it. The White House has been turned into the world's most exhausting reality show. Every press conference feels like an episode, every rally like a rerun, and every scandal like another cliffhanger in a series that went off.
Donald Trump came in and he was like, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna totally de-escalate this situation. And we were like, my man, you've never de-escalated a thing in your life. From your hair to your politics, nothing is a de-escalation. Trump came in and he's like, I don't like how Iran and Israel are launching bombs at each other all the time. So many bombs, we can't have this. It's not right. We gotta fix it. And they're like, all right, how are you gonna fix it? He's like, by dropping bombs.
Trevor takes aim at Trump's obsession with image. The president can't go a single day without bragging about how rich, smart, or successful he is. But the more he insists, the less believable it sounds. It's like watching a magician explain the trick while performing it, except the rabbit's already dead.
You ever notice that when Trump has no idea about something, he just says any crazy thing that pops into his head, and then he adds, I don't know? Which is pretty slick, because then you can never call him out on it. Maybe birds can fly backward when we're not looking. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I know that Donald Trump is trying to be menacing here, but all I hear is a really catchy pop song. And it's like, my button brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's bigger than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours.
Trump sells himself as the nation's savior, but the fine print always reveals the truth. Chaos, division, and a presidency fueled more by grievances than actual governance. What makes Noah and Colbert's takedown so effective is that they don't just target his policies. They go after the theater of his presidency. The endless bragging, the invented accomplishments, the way he struts like a peacock on steroids. And it works because Trump's greatest weakness has never been his critics, it's himself. He hands comedians more material than they could ever use. Contradictions, gaffes, and over-the-top declarations practically begging to be mocked. He's not just the president, he's a one-man punchline factory, the gift that never stops giving.
What is he going to do when he loses?
Yeah, people act like it's gonna.
I'm being for
yes,
real about this, by the way.
Trev,
Like, I think people take for granted that guy thinks everything is a conspiracy.
Trev, you're smarter than me. Please explain this to people, because I've been trying to tell people this. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. I don't think it's going to be a transfer of power at all.
I don't think
he's going anywhere.
I don't think Donald Trump does anything normally. I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes like, I'm not leaving the White House.
I'm not leaving.
I could see him just being like, I'm not leaving. There were fake votes. 3 million fake Mexicans voted. I'm not leaving. And you know what's weird about America is America has all these rules where you guys have just agreed to things, but it's not like written down properly. And then they'll just be like, but you're supposed to leave.
Trevor and Colbert also go after Trump's obsession with always being the center of attention. No matter how serious the event, it somehow circles back to him. A natural disaster. Trump makes it about his ratings. A foreign crisis. He brags about his genius. An economic problem. He declares it already solved, even as it falls apart in real time. That's not leadership, it's stand-up comedy, with the American people paying the ticket price in credibility. Colbert zeroes in on Trump's paper-thin skin. He tries to project toughness, but what shines through is pettiness. A man so desperate to win every exchange that he ends up looking smaller every time he opens his mouth. Colbert hammers the irony. The self-proclaimed alpha male reduced to whining whenever someone points out the obvious. Trevor piles on by mocking the family brand. The Trumps want to be seen as American royalty, yet they come off more like a bargain bin soap opera. Scandals, awkward dynamics, endless photo ops. Less Camelot, more reality TV on clearance. Trevor highlights the absurdity of it all, a family trying so hard to look polished, yet always managing to look chaotic.
Does he talk like that the rest of the day? No one eats chicken nuggets like Trump. In terms of hungrily, nobody puts on pajamas like Trump by way of sleepily, and the deep state is forcing Trump to get up several times a night apropos of poopily. Or
Colbert and Noah turn Trump's presidency into a masterclass in unintentional comedy. They roast the way he rewrites reality to fit his ego, contradicts himself daily, and demands respect while acting like the loudest guy at the bar. What they make clear is that Trump doesn't just fall short of the presidency, he doesn't even understand it. To him, it's not a responsibility, it's a stage. And every time he steps on it, the show gets even more absurd. That's the brilliance of their roast. No exaggeration required. Trump supplies the punchlines, the contradictions, the overblown boasts. All Noah and Colbert have to do is connect the dots. The result isn't a titan of history, but a man who accidentally turned the highest office in the land into the world's longest-running joke. He wanted to dominate history, but history is already laughing. Trevor Noah and Stephen Colbert don't just roast Trump, they expose the comedy at the heart of his presidency, making sure the laughter always drowns out the illusion.
And Times Person of the Year is Donald Trump. There. I talked about it. Along with making the cover this morning, Trump got to ring the big boy bell to open the New York Stock Exchange. He made it look easy, which is no surprise because Trump has spent years practicing his bell ringing.
Ding, 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 ding.
The strangest part of Trump's presidency isn't just that he keeps surviving scandals like a cartoon character walking away from explosions. It's that he brags about them like trophies. Every mess becomes a campaign ad, every blunder proof that he's playing 10-dimensional chess. In reality, it's like watching someone take credit for surviving car crashes when they were never even driving, just strapped to the hood, screaming about how amazing the ride was. Noah and Colbert zero in on this absurdity, showing how his entire career is chaos pretending to be strategy. He's the host, the product, and the testimonial all at once, except instead of selling kitchen knives or weight loss pills, he's selling America the idea that shouting louder makes you right. It's the longest-running reality show on Earth, constantly bending constitutional norms. And Trevor Noah doesn't just roast him. He highlights the surreal fact that a man who can barely finish a coherent sentence has convinced millions that he's a visionary.
Get out and do it. He looked like a dad who had kids that were fighting in the backyard. And he was just going back and forth. He's just like, shut up, baby. Come on, shut up. Sit up. How many times do I have to tell your kids that you're not going to? I told you once and I'll tell you again. And then he looked at the reporter and he did something I've never seen an American president do in my entire life. He cursed live on TV into the camera. Looked at the camera and he was like, they were like, what do you think, Mr. He's like, I'll tell you what this is. You've got two countries that have been fighting so long, they don't know what the they're doing.
Meanwhile, Colbert zeroes in on the theatrical side, every hand gesture, exaggerated pause, and dramatic exit. Together, they reduce Trump's rallies to what they really are, poorly directed stand-up shows where the headliner doesn't realize he's the joke. Then there's his obsession with crowd sizes. No politician in history has turned attendance into a personality trait, but Trump treats it like divine validation. If 5 people show up, he calls it 5 million. If the venue's empty, it's fake news for not capturing the full view. Noah nails this delusion perfectly. It's like watching a magician pull rabbits out of a hat, only for the rabbits to sue for unpaid appearances. Trevor exposes how entire strategies revolve not around logic or national interest, but around making Trump feel like the smartest man in the room. International relations become therapy sessions, cabinet meetings turn into fan clubs, and press briefings feel like self-congratulation contests. Colbert lands the sharpest jab. Trump isn't governing. He's auditioning for history's approval, rehearsing every line as if the future were an audience he could win with ratings. The punchline: history won't remember the rallies or slogans. It will remember a man mistaking volume for vision.
Donald Trump has one of the most twisted minds I've ever come across. Because not only does he think Eric Holder unethically protected Obama, he thinks it's the one good thing that Holder did. He's like, I know Eric Holder burned Obama's Kenyan birth certificate into ashes, but you gotta admire how he broke the law to cover it up, folks. He did a good job. Good job.
Of course, you can't talk about Trump without mentioning his Twitter addiction. It's where his insecurities, grudges, and unfiltered thoughts pour out like a late-night diary no one asked to read. Noah skewers the absurdity. The leader of the free world bragging about TV ratings at 3 a.m. or picking fights with random critics like a high schooler running for student council. Colbert hits the irony hard. Trump spent years shouting about fake news while producing an endless stream of it himself, 280 characters at a time. It's less a social media strategy and more a presidential cry for help. The most devastating part comes when both comedians strip away the theatrics and expose the emptiness beneath. Colbert sharpens the point. When history looks back, it won't see greatness. It will see a brand, a logo, a reality TV archetype who mistook slogans for statesmanship. The only wall he ever successfully built was between truth and his supporters' ability to recognize it. That's why their roast lands harder than any policy critique. Noah and Colbert aren't just mocking Trump's words or mannerisms. they're exposing the fragile scaffolding holding up his entire persona, turning the toughest president ever into what he really is.